Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Louise Houghton.
Hello and thanks for joining us today. We start the show high in the sky, but first, here's a quick look of what else is to come. Artistic, a huge floral display in the Belgian capital, Brussels. Musical, the Wagner opera Parsifal hits the silver screen. Canine, dog portraits by British photographer Martin Usborne. The skies over Bristol in southwestern England have been very colourful recently, with up to 100 hot air balloons floating around as part of the Bristol International Balloon Fiesta. It started in 1979 and is now one of the largest hot air balloon events in Europe. The highlight of each day is first thing in the morning, so our reporter was up early to take in the beautiful views.
It's 6:30 a.m. and the sky over Bristol is full of hot air balloons. Over 100 are here for the mass launch of the Balloon Fiesta. Richard Allen is a professional pilot. He uses the gas flame to guide the balloon into different wind zones.
140 Jag, yeah, really quietly. We can steer the balloons quite well by the winds that are changing directions. So, but yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at the moment. So we're just sort of looking up. I'm eyeing up a field for our landing. So hopefully we'll be in the field I want to get. But we'll wait and see.
On the ground in the southwestern English city of Bristol, the crowds are delighted. Some 500,000 visitors are expected to turn up for Europe's biggest balloon spectacle over the next 4 days. There's quite a party atmosphere.
Everybody's in a good mood, it's beautiful, and we come, especially for the dawn lift, it's really worth getting up at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, yeah.
I bought a flight for my wife when she was 50, and she just had such a fantastic time, so she often wants to come back and relive that experience.
They're different shapes and things.
It's just
colours.
the size of them. They're really big.
And heavy. A nylon balloon weighs about 80 kilos. First it's rolled out. Then it's attached to the basket with wire cables. Alan makes the final safety checks. He's responsible for the passengers.
There are rope handles around the insides of the basket. You can hold those. You can hold the top of the tanks, and you can hold the poles. Things I do not want you to touch. Anything above your head, any of the instruments around the balloon. Most importantly, please don't touch this red line, okay? So that will make us fall out of the sky. Don't touch that. There's also a green line and a black line. Please don't touch those either.
Nothing but hot air is needed to help a balloon rise, just under 3,000 cubic metres worth. Richard adjusts the propane gas flame and up he goes. The balloon can soar to a height of 500 metres, as long as the wind isn't stronger than 10 knots. The annual Balloon Fiesta has been taking place for 33 years now. It all started with Don Cameron, a balloon maker who still loves his craft.
Very difficult to explain, but they're beautiful. They don't obey the laws of gravity. They just float up in the air, and there's a magic which is quite different from any other flying machine.
There aren't only standard balloons to be seen in Bristol. There are some exotic specimens too. There are also remote-controlled mini balloons young people can go up in.
I think it's more difficult to fly a small balloon because when you're a full-size balloon you get like altimeter and wind readings and all that. With a model balloon it's purely down to instinct and watching from the ground what it does.
The big balloons usually stay in the air for about an hour. But Alan came down in a field about 20 minutes after taking off. A driver goes to pick him up.
But the best bit is after you've landed, everyone is happy, everyone has had a good time, and it's knowing that you've sent 2 people, 5 people, 16 people away with a really memorable experience. And that's the bit I must admit I do enjoy the most.
The balloons are rolled up as tightly as possible like tents. Then they get stowed away until the next time. At the end of the day, the pilots and visitors wind down together. The night glow is all about the beat. The pilots light up their bright balloons to the rhythm of the music.
And with our feet firmly back on the ground, we turn to the virtual world of computer games, something that entertains some 25 million people here in Germany. The annual Gamescom trade fair in the western German city of Cologne allows potential buyers to try out the latest releases on offer. With so many different kinds of games to choose from in an ever-growing market, this trade fair keeps visitors occupied all day.
Many of the 2,000 games for computers or smartphones that come on the market every year in Germany are 3D adventure games like these. They include action games, sports simulation, or interactive fantasy games. 1 in 3 Germans regularly clicks onto the world of digital gaming. In Germany last year, the industry recorded a turnover of around 2 billion euros. 26-year-old Judith Jaskowski lives in Berlin and is one of 10 million women in Germany who love computer games.
It's a mixture of everything. I just think it's nice to see something, to feel it, experience it, just be part of something else, something that isn't part of the reality of now.
Judith relies on her smartphone when she's out and about. But at home, she prefers using her computer or games console.
I like fantasy games the most. The reality-based games are fun as well. For example, the detective games or westerns. It's pretty cool riding through a Wild West scene.
Scientific studies show that women gamers play differently to men.
Women tend to go for cooperative, strategic games that are often aesthetically pleasing. Men tend to go for antagonistic games, the purely competitive games where there's a clear winner at the end.
Linda Breitlauch is the only female professor of computer game design in Europe and lectures at the University of Media Design in Düsseldorf.
Even today, women tend to stay at home with the kids and take care of the family. Men go out and do the hunting, even if in the civilized world it's only hunting files in an accountant's office.
It's largely male players who enjoy games like this, first-person shooter games like Far Cry, where you have to kill or be killed. Women prefer this kind of game, the world of the settlers, where the aim is to establish a community. Judith Jaskowski studies media. She's interested in art and fashion, but gaming is part of her everyday life.
I play a game now and then, in the underground or if I'm waiting for someone, or at home, just to switch off.
Games designers have discovered the growing potential of the female market. Companies like Blue Byte in Düsseldorf, a subsidiary of the French games maker Ubisoft. It's one of the world's biggest games developers and tailors itself towards a female clientele.
We've employed several women here. For example, on our fitness game, our design team is all women, as is the animation team. And our creative director is a woman from Paris. We've been working for a long time on what our target market wants.
There are 150 women and men working in Düsseldorf on games that can cost anything up to 30 million euros in development. The games are changing.
They're getting more feminine, more social, not as competitive.
It has led to the female characters being reworked. For example, Lara Croft used to represent the male fantasy. She's been redesigned several times to simply become more authentic.
The latest trend is towards social network games. They're played 70% of the time by women. This basic version is usually found online for free. Gamers only pay for additional functions. In Germany, the industry has seen an enormous increase in turnover over the past 2 years. Back in Berlin, Judith Jaskowski has switched off her games and is meeting a friend instead. Together, they write a fashion blog on the internet.
You can be a gamer but still have contacts. You can still meet friends and play together. There are many social games that are only cool when you play with others.
Judith Jaskowski is like millions of other Germans. She gladly breaks up her daily routine with an occasional trip into a fantasy world of computer games.
The good people of the Belgian capital Brussels have a huge passion for begonias. Every 2 years, the city shows them off in a rather unique way. Since 1971, the Grand Place has been carpeted with them, and the city's hall balcony is a great place to get the best view. In total, there are 1,800 square metres of flowers that will be on show until August the 19th. Now, that's what I call flower power.
What looks like a puzzle is actually a display of over 600,000 flowers. Every 2 years, the centre of Brussels is host to a colourful carpet of begonias. This year, the display pays tribute to Africa.
It's very colourful. I think Africa is in it. The colourful clothes of the people over there, I think you see it in the yellow, in the flashy design. It's good.
Jochen Eltermann is one of 20 growers who deliver flowers for the carpet. He inherited his love for begonias from his father and grandfather. Jochen's family has taken part in creating the flower carpet since the beginning.
Begonias, as you see, this is white, but even white is a very flashy white. It's a very beautiful color. And tomorrow in the carpet you will see that the design of the carpet will be beautiful in all those flashy begonias.
To make sure the blossoms stay as fresh as possible, they're harvested not more than 1 day ahead of time. So Jochen Eltermann and his family must choose 30,000 begonias in a matter of hours.
I only pick the fresh flowers, which are formed about 3 or 4 days ago. Flowers which are already too old, we don't pick because they don't last in a carpet very long. When they are not big enough, like this one, we cannot pick them either. So we are looking for the fresh, big flowers in the begonias.
Once the begonias have been picked, a race against time begins. The flowers must reach the Belgian capital quickly, where designer Mark Schoutiet is already waiting for them. This year's theme, Africa, is particularly challenging.
It's not a symmetric flower carpet now. It's with the design from, how I have said, texture of design from Africa. You have the lands of Ethiopia, Namibia, Cameroon, Zulu of Congo, and also Botswana, here on the carpet.
The volunteers complete the job in about 5 hours. The result is an eye-catching site measuring 1,800 square meters.
The best-selling postcard in Brussels features the Grand Place with the flower carpet. This event is also quite important for Brussels, not just because of the flowers, but because it is a tourist attraction.
Today, the flower carpet in Brussels is world famous. The colourful display debuted on Brussels Grand Place in 1971. Since 1986, it's been a fixture on the square every 2 years.
The most beautiful place to make a flower carpet is Brussels. When you see all this architect, unbelievable, amazing. So it's.
The Grand Place is one of the Belgian capital's landmarks and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now tourists have yet another reason to pay a visit.
I hope the meaning of the carpet is that Africa and Europe will come a little bit closer.
The visitors are clearly thrilled. The carpet will provide the perfect photo op for the next 5 days.
There was nothing here this morning. It's fascinating to see how quickly it's come together.
We've come for the flowers.
It's just unique. It's a large area and they've really created something that's beautiful from it.
At the opening celebrations, the music also reflected the theme of this year's floral carpet. Thousands of people swayed to the rhythms of an African-Belgian band.
And staying with the theme of music, German composer Richard Wagner wanted his operas to be available to the masses, which is why he founded the Bayreuth Festival in 1876 to showcase his works. Nowadays, though, you can wait years to get a ticket, and when you do, it will set you back nearly €300. So imagine the excitement of many opera lovers when they heard they could take in a live performance of Parsifal for the bargain price of just €30, and without the hassle of having to trek to Bayreuth.
The Bayreuth Festival is known worldwide for its grand operas and glamorous guests. Richard Wagner's final opera, Parsifal, is on today's programme. But these fans are enjoying the show in a Berlin movie theatre, more than 300 kilometres from Bayreuth. The CineStar on Potsdamer Platz is one of more than over 100 cinemas in Germany, Austria and Switzerland that's showing the festival's performances live. The festival organisers see no problem combining opera with popcorn.
We're sold out. When demand is so high, it's important that we make our productions available to as many people as possible. I think this is in the spirit of Richard Wagner, who always wanted all of his works to be seen. And that's what we're offering.
Performances are captured at the Festival House by 12 cameras and then broadcast to participating cinemas via satellite. Moviegoers also get a glimpse behind the scenes. A programme on the opera plus interviews with singers runs before the show and during the intermission. Then the lights go down in the cinema, just as in Bayreuth, and the opera begins. This year's Parsifal is staged by the Norwegian director Stefan Herheim.
The camera brings many things closer, but of course seeing close-ups doesn't give you the overall view that people have in the festival hall. And of course the acoustics of this hall are unique. But there's something exciting about the cinema experience, especially in the intermission program that's shown live. They get a peek behind the scenes. That's something that people here don't have.
Bringing the Bayreuth Festival to a wider audience has been the goal of the Wagner family for years. For 4 years, there was a public viewing for each performance, a way to experience opera in a relaxed, open-air setting. Since 2009, the festival has also offered Wagner operas for children, a more fun-filled way for kids to learn about the pieces. And now, the big screen. It's not the same as being there, but for many people, it's a more than decent substitute.
It was great on the big screen. I was captivated.
I really like that it's live, that I feel like I'm, I don't know, it has that danger that things could go wrong and the excitement of being in a live place.
The atmosphere is great, and I find it fantastic that they show it like this.
The idea of seeing the performances live in a cinema is also popular with most festival goers.
It's a very good idea to let regular people see it.
No, popcorn doesn't go with opera. That's not right.
You lose some of the feeling you get at the festival hall.
I think it's a great chance for everyone who can't make the long trip here or who can't afford it to participate.
The idea would likely have pleased Richard Wagner himself. As a composer, he was always looking for the largest possible audience.
I hope this would have pleased him. It was important to him that as many people as possible get to experience his works.
And so, in Berlin, the lights come up at the end of another Wagner opera. Hopefully, not the last.
Now, people who leave their pets in their cars whilst they pop into the shops are often accused of being cruel to animals. However, it's a scenario that still happens in places like supermarket car parks. British photographer Martin Usborne is himself a dog owner, and the sorry fate of pooches locked up in cars inspired him to develop his new book, The Silence of Dogs in Cars. We caught up with him on a shoot to see how he gets the dogs to play ball.
There is a sense of melancholy in Martin Usborne's pictures. Loneliness is reflected in the dog's eyes. At least that is the photographer's intention. At a photo shoot in North London, Martin Usborne is taking the last pictures for his photo book. Tonight's model is a Rhodesian Ridgeback.
Well, a lot of people laugh as well, which is fine, because I want them to be funny. But I think people feel uncomfortable because those feelings of loneliness and anxiety and stillness, it's not what we like to feel. So I thought it would be quite interesting to look inside that feeling, at the dog inside the car, that loneliness. And it was really amazing, because it was like the images were so beautiful.
The photos are reminiscent of paintings, sometimes funny, sometimes alarming, mysterious, but also disturbing.
It's something about the way that we control animals, the way that we silence animals in our lives. You know, whether it's a dog in a car or whether it's an animal in a zoo or a bird in a cage, there's a feeling somehow that animals often don't have a voice. But also it looks kind of cool, dog in a car, you know. That's nice. If you just get the eye to... That's lovely.
Martin Usborne originally studied philosophy. His own dogs inspired him to start taking photos.
The faces of dogs I find very direct and expressive. And a lot of my work is about human emotions. It's very psychological, but I find that animals show something quite raw and natural about us as humans.
Back on the set.
That's it, lovely. And now looking at me. That's it, keep going on. That's it there. Lovely. Ultimately, I look at the expression of the dog. So, for example, if the dog is not looking at the camera, it might ruin the shot. If I catch a glint in his eye, it might happen, and it's almost impossible to predict. So I go in with a rough idea of what I want, but then I go, see now he's got a very intense look on his face, and he's looking at the camera, and I like that.
Hey, look. Hey, look. The dogs are never locked into the cars. There is always an open window that can also be seen in the photos.
Yeah. Well, the whole book is really about these feelings of loneliness and feelings of longing. And if every single picture is a dog stuck in a car, then there's not much hope in the pictures. There's this feeling of loneliness. So if there's a window open at the end, it just provides a little lift at the very end of the book.
Usborne has spent 3 years working on these dog portraits. Their deeper meaning rests in the eye of the beholder.
Wouldn't you just love to know what the dog was thinking there? That has brought us to the end of the show for today, though. I hope you can join us again soon. But for now, from all of us here in the studio, take care and goodbye.